Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Hoops and Hers. I am your host and moderator, Lakeisha KB Brooks, and I'm excited about today's show, as I am every show. But today's show is special because we are highlighting and recapping All Star Weekend. And I have two of my hosts with me today. Unfortunately, we will not have today. She is just so busy after coming back from Chicago with All Star Weekend, but we definitely know that she's watching, checking in with us. And so, Kina, we want to give a shout out to you. We missed you so much, and we wish you were here with us. But without further ado, I want to introduce my other esteemed panel. We have Anne Marie, who's about to join me onto the stage, and Courtney. Hi, ladies. How are you?
Hello, doing good. How are y'all?
Good. I'm doing good.
Good. All right, Courtney, we got to get that audio going over there for you. Can you hear us? Give us a sound check. Can you hear us? Don't worry, everyone.
Working on it.
She's working on it. All right. In the meantime, as I mentioned before, All-Star Weekend has come up, and it has come and gone. And we had three competitions. We had Shooting Stars, which was extremely excited, where Team Washington took that with Shakira Austin, Ella Del Don, and Gigi Banks. Gigi Banks is somebody that we need to keep our eye on. Let's just say that she was the first person to hit that half court shot for the team, and I think she made two of those. So that was pretty exciting. So make sure you write down that name, highlight that name. Gigi Banks is a name to remember. All right. And then we also had the 3-point competition. AZ Fudd, she won as a rookie. I mean, I thought at the end that Ryan Howard was going to get 24 to knock out AZ in that first round and that she would go to the finals. But AZ was so impressive, and she only missed 6 shots the entire final round. So that was pretty impressive. And then, of course, the game itself. Can't forget the game itself. Well, we had Team Spoon that won 129 to 122, and Jonquel Jones from New York was the MVP of that. So, ladies, I want to know from you, what were your initial thoughts on All-Star Weekend as a whole? What did you think about it?
I mean, I think it was a great success. I think we heard a lot about new partnerships and just how much the WNBA has stepped up All-Star Weekend, not only for the players, but also for fans traveling to just have a great overall experience. As we know, a lot of big brands were there. We saw Coach, we saw Playa Society doing their collabs, which has just been a phenomenal company just with their graphic tees supporting specific players, and just really growing the recognition the WNBA is getting. I thought that it was super fun. I was watching here from Atlanta. I didn't get to make the trip like Kina, and I know we're hoping to do that next year, but just seemed like so much energy from the Shooting Stars. I thought that was really new, creative, great way to tie in different generations of players with Elena Delle Donne coming in. The girl can probably still go out there and play if she wants. I mean, I think she hit 3 of those deep, almost half court, right in between the NBA half court threes in a row. But no, just a great energy, great vibe. I think everyone's just excited to continue to see where the WNBA grows and continue to support women in sports.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Courtney, you got any thoughts?
I'm sorry. Is she saying me? So my same thing for the All-Star Weekend. I thought it was great to have a crowd that was as big as it was. All the events surrounding, leading up to, it was really great. I love that it was great energy, like I said, for the sport. You could see everything growing and how the game is continuing to grow. I did kind of have a little bit of a agreement. I guess Caitlin Clark made a comment about giving the fans what they wanted to see going into halftime, and I was in agreement with that, because to me the energy in the actual game felt kind of low for me. I like competition. I'm from the Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan era, where you were watching Kobe and Michael just go at it and during the All-Star game. It was a great time to see them play and to see them compete against each other. And I kind of wanted to see some of that with the potential matchups with the
And we're going to talk
WNBA
about
All-Star
competition in a
weekend.
second. We're going to talk about competition in a second.
Okay.
We're going to dive into that in a second. So,
Okay. So I'll pause on that. But I really enjoyed the 3-point competition, seeing players go out and really compete with that. AZ Fudd being the winner of that as a rookie was something that was really special, making history as soon as she gets into the league, because she started out being the number 1 pick. She's been getting, kind of that, I don't know if we've been seeing everything that we've wanted to see from her. And then coming into the All-Star weekend and her just kind of coming into form, she's really performed. She really performed at that 3-point contest. I was very impressed. I already knew she had like the perfect shot, but then now it's just like, wow, you really get to see it on that stage. And it was great to see her win. So yes, I thought the All-Star weekend was great. Everything around it was amazing. And I love it. Love where the game is going.
Yeah, so Courtney kind of talked a little bit about the competitiveness, and reading a lot and hearing a lot from fans across the board on Threads, Instagram, everywhere. People were talking about competition, but before we get into the competitiveness, another thing that I heard people talk about was the lack of competitions. Not the competitiveness, but the competitions themselves. And when I say that, I mean the first 2 events, the first night lasted about an hour combined, right? So it was Shooting Stars that we talked about, and then it was the three-point competition that we talked about as well. So once it was done, I think I looked at my clock and it was like maybe 9:07 Eastern Standard Time when it was over. And I think I put something that, man, like with 30 years, we should at least have a celebrity All-Star game. Of course, everybody was like, yeah, that'd be super awesome, because you have so many former athletes or former basketball players that now play other sports as well. I mean, I know that there's a wrestler, I think her name is Jade Cargill or Park. I don't follow wrestling, but I think that's her name. I think she played college basketball, for example. You have so many athletes that play maybe professionally in something else that actually play basketball that could play. So I'm just curious of you all's thoughts. I mean, I don't know if you all were like, this is enough, but I know that they had like a celebrity 3-point competition that was hosted by State Farm or something like that. I'm not sure, but I'm just curious, like, what were your thoughts on having additional competition? Should additional competitions be added to All-Star Weekend? Courtney, what are your thoughts on that? Courtney, can you hear us? I don't know if you can hear us. Go ahead, Anne-Marie.
I just think when you pay and go to these things, I think sitting there for under an hour is tough as a fan. I think you want to see a little bit more. You want a little bit more engagement. I think a celebrity all-star game would be super fun. There are so many just celebrities now that are around women's basketball that are showing support. I mean, when you see the Sparks games, you see the Liberty games, you see these people sitting courtside that are into the game. And I think we should really, as a league, it should capitalize on these people that have an interest and with their fans wanting to watch them be in the celebrity all-star game. I really think it will only continue to grow the league. There are, I think, still a lot of haters on women's sports, but I think when they see people that they look up to and they respecting women's basketball and putting money towards it, investing, I think that continues to grow the level of respect that women should be getting in sports.
And so, Anne-Marie, if you were able to pick maybe 5 celebrities that could play an all-star game, besides yourself, by the way, again, she used to be a baller herself, still is. If there are 5 people that you would pick, who would that be? And by the way, we lost Courtney. She's going to come back on, but we will have her come on in a second. Anne-Marie, who would you
Gosh,
pick?
that's tough. First of all, I'm really bad with like celebrities' names and stuff, so this is going to be challenging.
You see me chopped up Jay's last name, so I don't even know if I said it right.
I will do my best. I mean, I think just given there are some players that also now are kind of considered celebrities. I know Ty Young has been big. She's big in Atlanta. She played for the Dream. She's doing WNBA analyst work now with Prime. I think she would be someone who's great to get out there just with her following. and just her professionalism and obviously her success as a player. Gosh, I mean, you got to get some people from the hip hop, from the culture out there. I think just having people that have a following. I know Quavo plays a little bit. There's a few other people here and there, but I really just
no, we
think
gotta have all women now. Come on now, we're gonna go all women.
oh, all women. Okay.
All women.
I don't even know who else is really good at basketball that's celebrities, honestly.
Well, let us say, you know who we would have to have? We would have to have Keke Palmer. I don't know if she balls or not, but I just feel like she's just everywhere. So you just have to have her.
Olivia Miles and Kelsey Plum, they had a little segment on, I saw a few things. They're trying to teach her how to shoot the three. She was trying to get her knee bend into it, but it was really cute seeing also the interaction between Miles and Plum, trying to show her how to get into your rhythm. And I know she's passionate and loves women's basketball, so it was great to see her out there as well.
I think so too. Okay, let's think of three more. Let me see if I can think of another one. Okay, I'm going to think about somebody from a different sport. So I would like to see a lot more attention to maybe women's volleyball. So I'm going to name, Aiko Jones. Aiko Jones plays for the Atlanta Vibe. I think she's like 6'3". She can jump. She was an all-star this year. I think she could be good to play as well. Let me see who else I think. What about Trinity Rodman? Oh, Trinity Rodman would be a good one.
I think so. I mean, she's aggressive, fast. She does not stray from the contact. She would definitely, I think, do well and compete. But definitely the WNBA has to incorporate a few more things. I think even it's the skills challenge or something, just another component to lengthen. Because when you come in and you're there under 45 minutes an hour, you don't really feel like you saw maybe enough. And right now, I mean, these tickets are expensive. So I think whether it's the celebrity all-star game or another challenge that can incorporate, I think the skills challenge is great. I mean, incorporating post players, Jessica Shepard, people that do have the skills that can dribble and pass. But I think adding something to lengthen that first night segment, I think the fans would like to see that.
No, I think so too. I think a lot of people talked about it being about an hour or so and not being able to have, the full experience of that as well. So even if I think that you said you saw a little bit of the celebrity 3-point competition, I'm sure there were maybe some media deals as to why it wasn't on part of the I don't know, but I'm sure there was some other just kind of behind the scenes business logistics stuff as to why it wasn't broadcast. I know it was on the stream, if I'm not mistaken. But it obviously wasn't part of the festivity. So I definitely agree with you that we need to obviously have additional competitions in there to just kind of mix it up a little bit as well. So I think we may have Courtney joining us back. All right, let's see if we got our girl back here. Hi, Courtney, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Sorry about that, guys. Oh my gosh, that was pretty bad. I was testing out my lip reading skills with KB.
Oh man, it's okay. This is what happens on live, right? It happens. Look. The top of the top, they have issues too. We lose people. So we just kept it going for you. And now we're actually going to switch gears and talk about the competition because, Courtney, you did talk about the competitiveness
yes.
of the game. And I saw your face. You were like, I don't know what she's saying, but I'm just going to roll with it.
Yeah. I was reading.
You did a good job. I was winning. All right. So another thing, not only did people talk about the lack of competition, but also there was conversation about the competitiveness. I think, Courtney, you may have even mentioned Caitlin Clark talking about, hey, we want to give the fans what we want. And I know, what is she? I don't even know what she had in that first half. I mean, I just know she was like shooting threes left and right, doing her thing. So I want to ask you all, does the lack of competitiveness hurt the game? And before you answer that, this has not just been a WNBA thing. So we're not going to just shift the blame to the ladies, okay? Because until Major League Baseball decided that whoever wins is going to get an advantage in the World Series, they were lacking of that. We won't even talk about the Pro Bowl, okay? We won't talk about that at all. And then, of course, the NBA, I think that we finally saw a little bit more competitiveness this year because Wemby came out and he took it very serious. And I remember Edwards saying, hey, I had to be competitive because Wemby started it. So I just want to put it out there that this is not just a WNBA thing. So, Courtney, now that you can hear me, and you were so excited to talk about this.
Yes.
Do you think that lack of competitiveness is hurting the game, or can it hurt the game?
So I kind of had mixed feelings about the lack of competitiveness hurting the game, and that personally, I like to see the competition. Like I was stating earlier, I loved watching Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan kind of go at it that last All-Star game from Michael Jordan. Initially I was like, why is Kobe doing this? Like, we were wanting Michael to have this historic kind of farewell All-Star game, and Kobe was just not having it. So I think seeing that competition and that level of competition growing up was something that was very inspirational to me. And I held on to that. So when you start up the WNBA and the All-Star games and things are coming out, and you look for the competition, because in the pioneer years, there wasn't the luxury, I guess, to not be competitive, because then you wouldn't be taken serious. So as the game continues to grow, and we're 30 years later, to watch the game that night was just kind of disappointing for me. And instantly Caitlin Clark made her comment about, let's give people what they came to see. And I think that's very important, because people they spend money to come to the games. I looked up the VIP packets, the media. They had several levels in which you could come and watch the game, watch the games throughout the weekend, and they were pretty expensive. And so some people spending their hard-earned money to come to a game, you want to see the competition. You want to see some matchups, especially in a team dynamic that you wouldn't normally see. You want to see the competition. And it's not, I understand the idea of not wanting players to be hurt or injured during the competition, but a little bit more, just a little bit more competitiveness. I think Kelsey Plum made a great point when she said, hey, let's make this a little bit more competitive. Let's some charities, maybe some money, throw something else at it to make it more competitive, because she's a competitor. Everyone has seen Kelsey Plum play and how she competes, and it's go time every time she gets on the court. So I agree with that. But I also, on the flip side of that, do understand wanting to have fun, wanting it to be a weekend of fun, and kind of what Breanna Stewart said. If you want it to be competitive, you have to give more time to it. Some of the players had games on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then they were expected to compete at Saturday's game, and then they'll have a game this week. So I do understand. I do see both sides. The competitor in me says, hey, I need to see more competition. I want to see you guys go at each other just a little bit.
Yeah. And Anne-Marie, what are your thoughts?
I agree. I think, just being the fan that I am and watching it, you want to see a little bit more of that competitive edge, especially on the defensive end. And I think historically we know all-star games are going to be higher points scored and the defensive effort isn't going to be there. But I think this game seemed some things are just a little too easy. And I know that's going to happen. But I think, as you mentioned, people are traveling across the United States. Some people are coming in from other continents to support women's basketball. And I think just wanting to see a little bit more of that grit, that down and dirty, like we see in the regular season games, like we saw in the Commissioner's Cup, not necessarily that competitive, but at least to a point where, you're not just get the free layup. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's about balance. And as the player, this is not the team that they're necessarily competing with to win a championship. So there is some hesitations, I'm sure, on I don't want to get hurt in the All-Star game. I'm not going to go out there and be 110% diving on balls and really just sacrificing your body on a game that's really meant to just celebrate the top talent in the league. But I think there's got to be a little bit more of a balance when it comes to that competitiveness, so that the fans feel like they're getting the quality that they want when they're paying, a few $100s and traveling to come see these games.
Yeah, I think that's true for, again, not just the WNBA, but across the board, but also, as you all mentioned, that you think about getting hurt, which is why we don't see a lot of effort there as well. And of course, at the end of the day, it's just an exhibition game. And I think that, but how do you marry that because to both of you all's points, people are paying a lot of money to see this as well, which is why maybe adding additional competitions can also be beneficial as well. Because if you think about 3-point competition, I mean, we saw Dame Lillard win on the men's side, and he was recovering from I don't know if it was an Achilles injury or something. And I'm not saying that there's not much effort you have to give in shooting 3-point, but if a man can come here and has a torn Achilles, I think that's what it was, and shoot that, then it means it's a lot less labor on the body. So we can have more competitions like that. I think it would balance out the fact that they don't have to play as hard. And I think that fans asking for them to play even harder maybe isn't unrealistic expectation, because you got to think about it. The WNBA players, they play right now 44 games, and it's kind of compact. Like there are times when they're just like multiple games where you have a game, you're traveling, there's another game, and then that game is the next day and you've traveled. It's not like you're back-to-back home. I think Atlanta played, and I think they were back-to-back, and they were 2 different states that they had to go to. Now, the states were next to each other, don't get me wrong, but still think about the body and how tiring that can be for the body. I want to switch gears now and talk about a topic that I think a lot of people are asking, and that's about Teresa Weatherspoon and her getting a shot back in the WNBA. We know that she had a stint in Chicago that did not end the way that I think most people had expected. A lot of people wanted to see her get another chance, and they went in a different direction. Tyler Marsh is now there doing, whatever job that he feels that he can do to contribute to the team, to make the team better, which again, no fault of his, no fault of hers. But I'm just curious from you all. Of course, she was one of the GMs in the WNBA All-Star game. It was an opportunity for people to get to see her again, even though they were still coaching a little bit. Even though they kind of let their coaches do their thing, but it kind of put her back in the forefront and in the minds and the tongues of people to say, does she deserve another opportunity? And what are the chances that we get to see her again? And so I want to ask you all, I know you all are also very passionate about this topic. We all are excited to see her have that opportunity again. And I want to ask you, Anne Marie, what do you think are the chances of her getting another head coach opportunity in the WNBA?
I think the chances are likely. I think it's pretty strong to see Coach Weatherspoon back out there. I think just given her pedigree, she played. I think that goes far in the league. I think having representation in the league, which I know we'll discuss hopefully later here in the podcast, but having more African-American and Black women in coaching positions, just the makeup of the league, there needs to be more equal representation, especially when the league is comprised highly of diversity. So, I think just given players respect her. We saw when she was not re-signed or when she was fired at Chicago, Angel Reese voiced her opinion on just how it is to play for her, what she means, what she's done. And I think that's something that's really, really important in the league. I think being able to relate to your coach, I think having a coach that's done it before. There's a lot of coaches that haven't played at that level. She's an 8 all-time WNBA All-Star. She was 2-time WNBA Defensive Player of the Year. She's competed in the Olympics, gold medalist. So from that standpoint, she has the resume. I think someone's going to give her an opportunity. She's continuing to coach. She's in Unrivaled. She's been an assistant coach in the NBA under the Pelicans. So, she has the resume. I think we're also seeing Chicago. We're not sure exactly what the issue is at Chicago, but there seems to be some underlying issues, whether that's with upper management. So I think, maybe that just wasn't the right opportunity, but I think someone's going to take their chances on Teresa Weatherspoon. She deserves it. She's proven she can do it, and she's going to be coaching, I believe, in Unrivaled again. So look to see her out there continuing to contribute to women's basketball, and hopefully some more doors were open for her in the future in the WNBA.
Yeah, so piggybacking off of that, I said it last podcast, but I'm a teaspoon fan. I've always been a fan of hers since I was in high school. She's always been inspirational. And I think the fact that that's just her personality, and has grown and she's had a wider reach of people. I do think she'll have another opportunity to coach, and I think it will be one of the expansion teams. I think that with the expansions that are happening with the W, it's going to be exciting to see if they choose her, because she can start the organization and build the culture the way that would align with how she wants to coach and be associated with the game. Like you said, the Chicago Sky, that wasn't a good fit for her. It didn't last long. That was a year, and it just didn't allow time for her to make an impact. I mean, if anybody coaching a team and a team that's already had issues, and it's going to be very difficult to make change in a year. So starting up, getting a startup team, an expansion team, or being a part of that is where I think she could absolutely have an opportunity, and she could thrive in that opportunity, helping build the culture and being in a place that maybe the management and decision-making with the teams and players that are going to be on that team all align with her style of coaching in a way that she can have a positive influence and start a great organization, help with the startup of a great organization.
I think hearing you talk about the expansion teams, I mean, it would be like a fresh start. And for her to be able to have that opportunity to kind of do what she does. And going back to Anne Marie's, we don't know kind of what's happening in Chicago, but sometimes it's just not fit for you. What did our great friend Keena say to us yesterday? Whoa, does anybody remember? What did she say to us?
Oh, when things are for you, the alignment as far as God will put things in place for you when it's
So
for
she didn't
you.
say anything
It won't
about
miss
God.
you.
She didn't mention God.
You will
She didn't
never
mention
miss
anything.
what's meant. You will never
Yeah.
miss what's meant for you.
That's what it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So it makes me think about Teaspoon, like, maybe those opportunities haven't been for her yet. And I think that we all can agree that that opportunity should be there, could be there. And I'm just curious that expansion. I'm going to write that down because I feel like that could be something that could be very, I like that idea. All right. You've been sitting on that for a while, Courtney, haven't you?
Yeah. Gotta wait a little bit.
I like that point, Courtney, because as we just mentioned, why she'd be a great head coach. I think if she got there in time to help pick up the franchise players and build the team, I think with her knowledge, I think that would really set her up well for success, just given who she knows in the league, who she has relationships with, and just knowing players, not only on the court, but off the court, and being able to construct and build that culture.
Absolutely. So speaking again of Chicago, we have another story to talk about that's related to Chicago, and that is with Kennedy Carter. So for those that don't know, Kennedy Carter just had a 101 competition, and she won that. And for those who are not familiar with the 101 world, it was best of two to three rounds. She won, and her second round was a convincing win. I think she won 11-3 or 12-3. I mean, it was incredible to watch. And for someone that's been watching Kennedy Carter for a while now, it was exciting to see her just kind of back in action. And for me, it looked like she kind of was a little bit winded, a little bit, understandably, for someone who has been out of competitive basketball for about 3 or 4 weeks now. So I want to talk to my panelists about Kennedy Carter. And before I do that, I want to show you all the flyer of this competition. Here it is. It was a free live stream. And if you didn't have a chance to check it out, I think you can go back to, I think it's Celerity Live on their YouTube channel and YouTube page. Check it out. Look at the competition yourself and see what she did. And the one-on-one world has been growing rapidly. So I want to hear from my panelists about Kennedy Carter and what they thought about it. Because the assignment is I made them go watch it too. They were trying to watch the WNBA All-Star game. And I'm like, now we got to watch a one-on-one competition. So looking at Kennedy Carter's one-on-one competition, what did you learn from that one-on-one competition as it relates to her and her game? And Anne-Marie, you and I were talking about this before we started. What were some of your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, Kennedy Carter has been in and out of the WNBA. Her talent is undeniable. She is quick as can be. I mean, her first step and ability to get to the rim is pretty unmatched, in my opinion. I think she's shown what she can do, how she can contribute, scoring over 12 points per game. With the Aces, as we know, she was recently let go and waived from the Aces, but she is a player that can score. I mean, she can shoot the three in your face. She can, hit a hesitation step back jumper, and she can get to the rim. So she is a matchup nightmare for most people in one-on-one. You don't have any help, so you got to hold it down yourself. And she's someone that will make it super difficult. What I saw in the one-on-one competition, Kennedy Carter took a second to get her momentum going. Crump, who is a Houston native, she played at Jackson State as well as Houston. She did a great job from the jump and really missed her opportunity there. She had the ball, could have gotten game point, but when you leave it to Kennedy Carter, she's going to win. She made a three. She had been down almost the whole first game. And Crump didn't get that first game, and the momentum was completely with Carter, who, as you mentioned, 12-3 in the second game. She made three. She got to the rim. She's finishing, and she's just tough. She's tough to guard. So if Kennedy Carter continues to play in the one-on-one space, I think we're going to see her continue to dominate. Both players were a little winded. If you haven't played one-on-one, it's totally different than the 5-on-5 game. And it's also just exciting for women's basketball. I mean, 5-on-5 has been huge. 3-on-3 in the past 5-10 years has really developed. You have competitions throughout Europe. You have competitions here in the United States. And now 1-on-1 in the past 2 years has really started to take off. And a big platform for players. There's more opportunities with the growth of women's basketball. There's 1-on-1, there's 3-on-3, there's 5-on-5, and now there's multiple leagues here in the United States as well. So Kennedy Carter will continue to be balling out. I think the biggest thing that we see is, can she do it on a team, and can she maintain positive, good relationships, not only with her teammates, but also with the coaching staff and management.
Great point. And to your point, yeah, Crump did well. One of the things I wanted her to do was drive more. She had a size advantage against Carter. And I just was screaming, please drive and take her to the basket, please. Like, she will go and she'll pull up, and then like, now you have no more dribbles left. So just take her all the way. And as far as her blocking her shot, I mean, sometimes a smaller person can block your shot, but if you go on that left-hand side and you take that ball, that's a less chance that she can block it. But that was just my little rant that I had for Crump. And so I know that you also watched it, Courtney. What were your thoughts on it?
So that was my first time watching that style of competition in a one-on-one setting. So it's not like a continuous one-on-one. You kind of take your shot and then it's reset. So with the level, again, speaking to Anne-Marie's point, it's exhausting playing a one-on-one game. You have to really be in shape. But the format of that game is different in that after you take your shot, there's not an opportunity to go and get an offensive rebound and maybe put the shot back and get an easy basket. You have to work for every basket that you get. And so watching that format was very different. For me, I enjoyed it. And I think it's also important to note that she hasn't been playing. Like we mentioned, she hadn't been playing in a 5-on-5 setting. The one-on-one competition is going to show her skill set. She's very difficult to guard. We already knew that about her. And I think Kennedy just did Kennedy things. As far as her going back to China, and
well, we're going to talk about it in a second as well. We're going to talk about her going back to China. We're going to talk about her going back to China in a second.
Yeah. So just learn that Kennedy's amazing. I mean, the positive relationship aspect of her game is what's really holding her back, it seems like. And it's unfortunate because she's such a great elite athlete that it's almost like impossible to stop her from scoring. And you really just want to see her succeed and wish that she can find, as a fan watching her play, I wish that she could find the formula that works for her and organizations for her to continue to show her skill set, for her to continue to compete at a high level, because she's really special.
Yeah, and to Anne-Marie's point, that one-on-one competition is growing immensely. We're seeing it in a lot of different places. And I think, Courtney, you may have inboxed me another league that has that one-on-one competition. And for those that haven't done one-on-one, I mean, it is very tiresome. Even playing a game of horse is tiresome. So can you imagine, like, you're at the high level playing against someone who is also trying to come for your neck? And I mean, they are not playing with that one-on-one. And I had a chance to look at some of the other competitions as well. Of course, for me, the highlight for that was Kennedy Carter's matchup, but there were other individuals competing in that as well. I think the rest of them were men competitions. And again, we just hope that Kennedy can find her place. And speaking of which, she has found a place. She's signed and expected to go back to China. This is not her first stint in China. She played there in the 2024-2025 season and had a very successful season there as well, averaging 31.4 points a game and had a season high of 44 points in a single game. And she also was there in 2023. And in that season, she scored 51 points. And that's only second behind the legendary, the great Maya Moore, who had the highest of 60 points in a single game as well. So she's had a lot of accolades when it talks about going to China, playing over there in China as well. I mean, she's had double-double. She's just been a breakout star when it comes to China. Right now, there are no opportunities in the WNBA. And I mean, I do see some stuff in our YouTube chat, and I just want to showcase some of that. And Anthony Sneed says that she'll be forgotten unless she comes back to the WNBA. Basically, her career in WNBA may be over, and if so, she may get forgotten. So I don't know. But the question that I want to ask my panelists is about her going back to China. Just kind of what are her expectations for that? And how do you think that she will fare going back to China? I want to ask you, Courtney, because I know you were talking about that. How do you think that she will fare going back to China?
It seems to be something that kind of aligns with her game. I don't know if that's where she wants to be per se, but she's had success at any level to be able to score 50 points, 40 points, whether it's once a year, twice a year, or, I mean, people don't accomplish that in an entire career. So for her to have these high scoring games, it just, again, speaks to the athlete that she is. Playing over, she still gets recognition. We still know about those games, different platforms to continue to watch her play. So again, I think alignment, I think it's all about alignment. Maybe that does work just a little bit better for her. Maybe there's a little less pressure, a little less distractions and whatnot from being home, because it is also difficult to play around people that you know, where social media may be a little bit more active. You have access to those comments and people are saying things, making comments, and then sometimes as a competitor or just as a person who maybe sometimes you want to defend yourself, you want to defend your stance, you kind of get behind and you want to stand up for yourself, especially when you have, again, people who get behind a computer screen or behind their phone and they make comments that are directed at you in a negative way or a way in which you want to defend yourself. So I think maybe there's just a little bit less noise for her and an opportunity for her to be able to focus on basketball without so many distractions.
That's a really good point. Yeah, Anne-Marie?
I think she's going to continue to succeed overseas. As you mentioned, I think when you're away, you don't see as much. You're not in the rah-rah. Sometimes in the league, we all know there's a lot of egos, there's a lot of pride, and there's a lot of dominant players. So trying to mesh sometimes with other players who are the stars when you're not willing to sometimes put your pride or ego aside can be difficult. Well, when Kennedy Carter goes to China, she's going to be the top player on the team. She's going to be successful. She's elite scorer, foot speed, first step, super difficult to guard, which is why she's scoring so much. People cannot defend her one-on-one, which what she's showing in the one-on-one competition and what she's showing overseas. She's averaging over 33 points last year for Shanghai. I think she's going to continue to be successful, but I think also a reason that she might be thriving there is she is the best player. She is the one in the spotlight, and where that does come with pros and cons of pressures if you're not, performing to the team's what they're asking of you, it can be tough. But also what comes with that is that she is the person that everyone knows there that is successful and that is the go-to player.
Yeah, I think that that's the most important point that we've heard here is her being the go-to person, her being the best player. Now, does that work well in a team dynamic? Maybe perhaps now not in the WNBA, but in China and maybe other places across the world, it could be a good thing. I mean, I don't know if anybody watched Diana Taurasi's documentary on her life, but she talked about being a rock star when she played overseas. I mean, it was to the point where I don't know if she had to come back to the WNBA. Remember, at that time, the W was not paying players what they're getting paid now. Diana was living the life overseas. And so right now, Kennedy gets to enjoy that as well. Now, her first stint overseas, she was homesick and came back to the States, but who knows? This could be a perfect opportunity for her. And of course, at the end of the day, you're from the United States. You want to play for your home country in the sense of playing in front of fans, your fans and family and friends here in the States. But sometimes that maybe that's not in the cards for you as well. And so any thoughts on that as well, ladies?
Like I said, I think a lot comes with playing in the league. It's a lot of pressure as you're competing every day in practice against the best, especially being on the Aces. But I think for Kennedy Carter, I mean, it's an adjustment. People, it's awesome to live your best life and play and get contracts overseas, but it's also a huge sacrifice. So, I think what people see is, oh, she's over there making a lot of money. But, some of these cultures are very different to adapt to. And China is a place that is a hard place. I have not been there. I know quite a few players that have played there, but it's a lot different than the United States. So, I mean, I think Kennedy Carter has a lot of people rooting for her. I mean, I just see her talent and you want to see her succeed. And in the same breath, as you continue to grow and mature, you have to kind of learn and step back. And sometimes things are in your control and sometimes they're not. But, I think that we hope that Kennedy Carter continues to grow off the court as well. And so she can step into other teams and teams won't continue to ask her, how is her relationships going to be with her teammates? Is she going to bring any sort of toxicity into the locker room? I think there's still question marks around that. But I think when you see Kennedy Carter play and what she can bring to a team, you're rooting for her. You want her to do well. You want her to be able to thrive in locker rooms and to have relationships that help her succeed. So hopefully we'll see her back in the WNBA. But if not, I don't think Kennedy Carter is going to disappear. She's going to continue to succeed in basketball, whether that's overseas, 1-on-1, 3-on-3. She's a baller.
She is a baller. And Anne-Marie, correct me if I'm wrong, you spent some time overseas playing as well. Is that correct?
Yes, I did. I got to live in quite a few fun countries, so I was blessed to be able to live, see other cultures, adapt, and just learn more about life and other people. We all have such different life experiences, so it was definitely a blessing to be able to do that.
Now we're going to switch gears and still talk about All-Star Weekend, but now we want to talk about the commissioner, Cathy Engelbert. And there was a press conference she did ahead of the game, and she was asked a series of questions. And one of the biggest announcements that she did make was about the new replay center, which is extremely important right now, considering all of the criticism around officiating, fair play, and even so much as players getting death threats because of certain calls that are being made. This state-of-the-art replay center is going to start in 2027. So for those that are looking forward to be implemented this year, it will not be. It will be implemented next season. And the idea is to have significant advancements in the league's continued investment in the competitiveness, the officiating, and the integrity of the overall experience for players, but also for fans as well, because I'm sure a lot of fans will like to see a lot more fairness across the board with officiating. as well as the integrity of it as well. Now, the replay center will be in New Jersey. It will serve as a hub for all reviewable plays and situations throughout the WNBA games. This is something that the NBA has already implemented as well. And Commissioner talked about using and leveraging some of the experiences that the NBA has had to help them in that process. And I'm going to read a direct quote from the WNBA League Operations Director. And in that, she says, as the WNBA continues its extraordinary growth, we're committed to investing in every aspect of the game, including technology and resources that support players, team, and officials. She went on to say, leveraging the NBA state-of-the-art replay center is an important step in the continued evolution of our game. It allows us to enhance the consistency and the efficiency of the replay reviews while embracing innovations that strengthen the competition and deliver the best possible experience for all stakeholders. So there's a lot of excitement and expectations as it relates to this replay center. Again, they're going to be using the NBAs. They're going to be leveraging that relationship. And so, Anne-Marie, I want to know your thoughts on how do you feel that it will improve the game? Of course, we have director of operations, someone in the league office, of course, commissioner talking about the promising expectations of this. But as a fan and former player, do you really think it's going to improve the game at all?
I think it has the ability to improve the game. I think this year we've seen a lot with replays. It has gotten a little out of hand, just the length and the longevity to make decisions. And then we're looking at games were, generally an hour 45, 2 hours. Now these games are 2.5, sometimes 3 hours long. So I really think this replay center, I know Kathy Engelbert mentioned spending almost $10 million or more on trying to get this going, where they're going to be using some of the NBA systems along with utilizing some new things that the WNBA is looking just to get better and to improve on. But I think overall, it's hard. I mean, referees, I do not envy their job. I do not want to be a referee, and I don't want to be a referee at the top level. The game moves super quick. You have to make a decision in a split second, and you have to stand 10 toes down on your decision most times, unless the team calls for a replay. So I think, implementing, she mentioned in her press conference as well that they have 2 committees, one state of the game, former players, current players, coaches, to get feedback, to try to talk through, what do the players need to see more of? What are they not seeing? As well as a committee of officials who are currently reffing and who have been past refs, whether that's in the NBA or WNBA. But I think they're doing more to be proactive to help these refs be successful. I mean, hats off to them. They have a tough job. But I think what the WNBA is doing is going to help improve the game from an efficiency standpoint, from a consistency in calls. And there just needs to be also more communication, I think. So it's great to see that some of these committees are in place to help hold the refs accountable and to continue to improve the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I agree with Anne-Marie. Anything that kind of gets the flow of the game back to what we've experienced before is something that I think is going to help improve the game. The referees want to get it right. Same place. I do not envy their jobs. It's hard to see everything that's happening. A lot of the things that the players mentioned that Kathy talked about was the freedom of movement and being able to do that and get the calls right. With any implementation of a rule, a change, or an adjustment, there's going to be an adjustment period. So I think the frustration now is just kind of lending to everybody getting used to the officials trying to make this adjustment for what players asked for. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating for the players, and to get consistent in a new system takes time. So I think it's just a matter of being patient. The center, if it's going to help with speeding the game up, the reviews, being able to make the calls and reviews a little quicker so that there's not the lull in games that kind of take away from the rhythm of the players. And it also kind of takes away from the excitement of the game, especially when these replays happen at critical points in the game. They're usually less than 5 minutes, where it's considered crunch time, a time that players want to be on the floor. They want to stay in rhythm, stay in tune with the game. And to have a replay that takes an extended period of time, it takes away from the game. So if the replay center helps, I think that's keep the flow of the game. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
Yeah.
Courtney, sorry about that, KB. I love what you said about the efficiency of it, because if there's a team that's watching it and they already have eyes, so while it might be about to get reviewed, there can already be in the works. But I think that's a huge thing. The momentum. People don't realize if someone calls to challenge or to review a play and it takes 3-4 minutes, I mean, these are huge momentum swings. So yes, timeouts can change momentum, but when you're in a timeout to review a call, and I mean, there's been times I'm at a Dream game, I'm sitting 4 or 5 minutes, and you're also getting cold as a player. So there's other concerns as well. People want to keep the flow of the game. So I think having a replay center where experts are seeing it in real time, they already know, maybe that wasn't. So they have an idea to help speed this game up. These games can't be 2.5 to 3 hours long. And I know Kathy mentioned, points are at an all-time high. Field goal percentage is at an all-time high. But also, so is the game time. So I think there's got to be some balance of, yes, we want to see more points. Yes, we love seeing efficient basketball. But, we all can't be sitting in there for 2.5, 3 hours on account of 6, 7 reviews that each take 4 and 5 minutes each. So,
yeah, I think you both have a good point about that time. I think even sitting there as media, we're like, oh, wow, like it used to be 2 hours, and then you look up and it's 2 hours and 45 minutes and we're still here. Oh, and we still have to do the presser as well. So we're not complaining it's our job. But at the same time, like you said, you're looking up and there's 3 or 4 minutes of time where there's nothing happening at all. And again, not having that momentum. The good thing about basketball, it is an up and down game. That's why people love it, because it's fast paced. People love that going back and forth. So when you take out a lot of that, again, what we really love is fast break points and transition basketball. And we don't have that because we are sitting here waiting for this 3-5 minutes of a challenge or a call or something like that. So I'm excited to see the difference. And I'm sure there's somebody behind the desk doing some kind of data analysis to see what the 2026 and 2025 season, and probably maybe 5 years prior to what 2027 is going to look like, and really show that data. Because as we talked about before, I would like to see the report of that. That's my nerdy side, to say, okay, you said that points have been up, efficiency. She listed a number of different things that have gone up. Now, if we look at the replay center, what are some improvements? And I'm just curious to see, like, what are some of the benchmarks that they're striving for that? Are you looking to make sure that those challenge times to go down? Are you looking to make sure, as we talked about, the game time goes down? And when you're doing this type of research, it's important to know, okay, what are the goals you set for this, so that we as fans can know, okay, have you hit those things? Because just having it is not enough. And that kind of leads me to my next thought, which is, there was a question that was asked of Commissioner about possibly, or the idea of implementing a Rooney Rule in the WNBA. Now, for those that are not familiar with the Rooney Rule, it is a rule that was put in place in the NFL, and it was to make sure that hiring for minorities was fair and equitable across the board. And with this, it was first implemented, and it was just for head coaches in the NFL. Since then, it has now expanded to certain front office positions in the NFL. So the person was in essence asking, do we need some sort of rule or some sort of policy that will help to have more diversity in coaching in the WNBA by having something such as a Rooney Rule as they have in the NFL? And I will say, for those that are not familiar with the NFL, because this is a women's basketball show, so is that the Rooney Rule has come under some criticism because some head coaches, some front office people that are minorities are saying that it's now just performative. So they're saying, yes, people have been interviewed, but are they really having a fair and equitable opportunity to get those jobs? Or are people just checking off a box and saying, hey, we've interviewed said person that is a minority, and therefore we have satisfied that, but we're going to now hire the person we actually want. So I wanted to put that context for those who are not familiar with the Rooney Rule and some of the criticism that comes behind it. So I'm going to ask my panel, and I'm going to start with you, Courtney. Would a Rooney Rule type of thing in the WNBA help improve diversity in coaching?
I think that it's always important to have inclusion across the board. When you look at what's happened with the W over the past few years, there were a few female head coaches. You look at Noelle Quinn being one of the last female Black head coaches for Seattle. Now this year, there aren't as many. There aren't any. If I'm saying that correct, there aren't any Black female head coaches, and that in a league that has majority Black females in it, that's really sad. So yes, I do think it's important to have inclusion, diversity when you're talking about coaching, to be able to come to someone who may be familiar with issues that look like me, that you have to have it. So I think it's extremely important, and they do need a rule.
So I know that you said that you know that it's important, and I kind of want to just kind of push on you a little bit. Do you think they should have this type of rule, though? So we all across the board can agree that diversity in coaching, whatever that diversity looks like, in this case, we're talking about race. And for a lot of people that think it's just race and gender, diversity comes in a lot of different ways. But in this case, we are talking about race. So, Courtney, I'm going to challenge you again and ask, do you think there should be some type of rule or policy that helps improve diversity of coaching? And again, diversity in race, since that's what we're talking about here.
Well, I think anytime you have to bring up whether there should be a rule, there should be a rule. I think if it were happening, there would be no need for a rule. And I think that just speaks volumes. Policies come in place because something happened or something occurred, and we need to correct it. So for the Rooney Rule to even be a topic or a conversation, it shows that there's an issue. There's a problem that needs to be addressed. How you address that needs to be explored and needs to be defined, and teams need to be held to that standard, whatever it is that they come up with. So, yes.
All right.
And I would definitely agree with that. I think there needs to be a Rooney Rule. I think WNBA stating that they stand on diversity, inclusion, I think it's paramount that they have this. But I think the second part of the question is, will it help improve diversity? In my opinion, Kathy skirted around that whole question. She answered it, but it really didn't take much responsibility. It seemed that she believes they are looking at diverse candidates for coaching and assistant coaching jobs. She feels there is representation more so within the assistant roles and more of the support staff. But she kind of put it on the GMs and the owners and said, at the end of the day, I don't want to say she can only do so much, but she just pretty much said, we're trying to get diversity, but it is not my decision. It is not up to me. It is up to the management. It is up to the ownership to decide who is the best head coach candidate. So where I do think the Rooney Rule is needed, it's a little worrisome to know, is it going to be effective? Is it going to actually improve diversity? And then that raises more concerns because, as we know, what the WNBA stands on and the makeup of the WNBA, players want to play for coaches that look like them, that they can relate to, that they feel supported by, that advocate for them. And sometimes having someone that isn't your same race or that you feel like you can't relate to can be tough. So I think there needs to be more diversity within the head coaches in the WNBA. I think right now, not even having one female Black coach as a head coach in the WNBA, I mean, it's honestly kind of concerning in my opinion. I mean, this is a league that was built on diversity, many people paved the way, and now we don't have coaches or we don't have people that really would be great in these positions. And we talked about Weatherspoon. I mean, there's a lot of players that have been coaches that haven't had the longevity, but need a Rooney rule, yes. Is it going to improve diversity? I think unless the WNBA continues to implement what they stand on, what's needed, advocacy, diversity, and inclusion, I don't know if it's going to change, but it starts at the top. And I think that's probably one of the bigger issues in another topic.
Yeah, another topic that I'm sure we're going to discuss. And speaking of DEI, or as they call it, justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, which are the same thing, but J is for justice. There was a statement that was put out, and we actually talked about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging is actually what we talked about in relations to the WNBA. And so I won't read all of it, but this was a statement that was put out, and Commissioner and the WNBA, as well as the WNBA Players Association, came together, and this was the statement that was brought out by the WNBA. It says that last night, WNBA leadership and members of the executive committee and I just mentioned JEDI committee had an honest and meaningful conversation about messages directed at players as well as other matters before the committees. And so it further goes on to talk about these conversations, why they're important, and there will be continuous work to be done. And so as we talked about in our show last week, the difference in making sure that they are actively doing things that are actionable versus things that are performative, I found this statement to be, just a statement at this point. And so I'm going to ask my panel about this because, again, as somebody that's working DEI, there's a lot of statements. Actually, I'm personally, I think statements are fine, but if they don't come with actions and actual actionable goals and tangible things that are going to be done, for me, they're just statements. But it's not just my thought and opinion on this panel. And so I want to ask you all about this when it relates to, do you think that this statement moves the needle at all for the league? And so, Courtney, I know that you're very passionate about this, and we talked about this even off of air and outside of production. And so this statement, I'm sure you read it. Well, obviously it wasn't that long. How do you feel, if at all, that this is going to move the needle for the league?
So my passion in this comes exactly from the place that you just mentioned. What did they say in the statement? I read that statement and I'm like, what? It just kind of, it's the professional thing to say, right? When when two sides aren't agreeing and it is like everybody knows, yes, we're arguing, or yes, we're not agreeing on something, but we're going to play nice and we're just going to tell everybody, hey, it's fine. We're just having a conversation. We're just talking about it. No, what are you talking about? Like specifically, what are you talking about? Because ongoing talks and conversations, that should be every day, right? Somebody's having a meeting somewhere every day. Right. So to come out on a topic that is so heavy, as a viewer, as players, at everybody involved, all the stakeholders, everybody involved in the process wants more. We want answers. We kind of don't want the nice statement of, yes, we're working on it. Yes, we're having conversations about it. We know that, right? Tell us a little bit more, give us more so that we can understand what both sides see as the issue, what one side is asking for. When you talk about like bullying or security measures, I'll go security, right? When you say we're gonna increase security measures, what did security measures look like before versus what you're trying to move toward? When you wanna have a statement that moves the needle, give us those stats, because in other conversations, there were a lot of statistics that happened in the conversation that provided insight, that provided depth. Let's get some more insight and depth when it comes to these statements about the two parties coming to the table to discuss something. Give us more.
I totally agree with that statement. In my opinion, it was past time to have a statement. I'm glad that a statement did come out. Do I think it moved the needle? I think the needle barely moved, but it moved. So I think we at least have to say, okay, well, at least they've started with a statement. Is this a complete solution? Absolutely not. I think the good takeaways from it is they seem to prioritize player safety. I think they at least made the community and others aware of what is occurring. Were there many details pertaining to it? No. Was it extremely high level and broad? Yes. Which is where I think that's the issue for me. I think it was very general. There was no measurable commitments. There was no, like, as you mentioned, there's no actionable items on, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. And it's just, it's so broad. You don't know what exactly. We're going to start better prioritizing player safety. Okay. What is that, Courtney? Like you mentioned, are more security guards there? Are you going to have more people sitting around benches? Are people escorted to their buses? Even, I mean, at the Atlanta Dream Games, people are out screaming at the gates. I mean, people are big fans. So I think making sure that we are protecting them, but I didn't see a lot of actionable items. I haven't seen a lot of follow through. Another positive is that we do see that the union and the league are communicating. I think there needs to be a lot more communication internally between players and the commissioner and upper management, just to, they've got to put themselves in these players' shoes. I mean, a lot of these people have not received death threats for falling down and aggressively, go for a ball and accidentally you hurt someone. I mean, there's not a lot of malice intent, in my opinion. People are competitive. This is a competitive sport. Right now, there's a lot of sensitivity. We have a lot of fans who are making racist comments, which should not be tolerated. And I think the WNBA needs to stand more on what has happened. This specifically happened, and this is how we're reacting and what we're doing to be proactive so this doesn't happen. They can't always be reactionary. And I feel like right now it's a lot of reacting to what is occurring instead of pushing inclusivity, diversity, and equality.
Right. Great you say that. So I want to go to some of the chat here, and we have Anthony. Hi, Anthony. You are a huge fan of Hoops and Hers. We're so glad to see you. We hope to see you every single Tuesday, Anthony, because you are one of the people that are, one of the people that make the show what it is. And I just want to address some of the things that you spoke about as it relates to diversity in the coaches. And you're absolutely right. Seattle coach, the Valkyries coach, would be considered minorities in themselves, along with Dallas Wings coach as well. So there's a lot of that. So as mentioned earlier, diversity is not just race and gender. Yes, we're talking about Black women in this statement here. The two panelists are talking about that. But DEI goes a long way. It could be things like disability. It could be things like language. It could also be things like socioeconomics. There's so many areas when we talk about that, even veteran status as well. So when we look at DEI, for the sake of WNBA, which again, a lot of the DEI that they're talking about happens to be Black women in coaching, it doesn't stop there as well. There's other areas that of DEI that we can talk about. But we want to stay focused on what the statement was really about and what the WNBA is doing. If they shift and move to be more inclusive for more players that are, service people, we will be talking about that as well. So we want to make sure that we're on the forefront of all of that as well. So we definitely understand, Anthony, some of the things that you're feeling and thinking about. And we also appreciate your sentiments that, that DEI can divide. And sometimes it does. But in this instance, the purpose of what the WNBA is doing and what we're doing is trying to highlight how we can unify versus divide as well. So I just wanted to talk about that and highlight that. And trust me, Anthony, I've worked in this space for 2 years at a high level, and I get it. Trust me, I've seen all types of sides of it. And even myself, sometimes I get frustrated with it as well. So I just want to thank you for sharing and putting it out there, because we want to welcome all thoughts and ideas about this as well. So, all right. So now we're going to shift gears and continue to talk about commissioner, but now talk about arguably the best player in the league. And we'll say arguably because I think that we can all agree with that, but there's some people that want to argue differently. So that's why we say that. Now, A'ja Wilson, she was asked about her relationship with Commissioner. And she just kind of joked and talked about that. Her relationship with Commissioner was really when she's handing her those trophies and awards. And by the way, Asia is highly decorated. Let's just say that as well. And so I really want to know, is it important for any commissioner? And in this case, of course, we're talking about the WNBA, but it could be Roger Goodell, it could be Adam Silver. But is it important for the commissioners of leagues to have a healthy working relationship outside of handing awards to their best players? Amber, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I feel like it's very important. I think relationships, especially in this league, and when you are the WNBA commissioner, I mean, by no means you need to be best friends and rub elbows with everyone, but there has to be a mutual respect, in my opinion. I think Asia has shown that she deserves that respect, but I just think it's disappointing to hear that there's not more collaboration or, more of a business relationship. I mean, I think the commissioner could probably benefit greatly from having a little bit better relations among players in the league. And there just seems to be a little bit of a divide. We know that the CBA was negotiations was long drawn out. Was definitely some aggressive negotiations and back and forth between the players as well as the WNBA trying to come to a good CBA agreement. So I know that there has been a little bit of frustration, maybe some slight hostility, but at the end of the day, as the leader and as the WNBA commissioner, I think it's imperative to have at least business and cordial relationships with the top players in the league to help better the league and to use their voice to help advocate for what's needed through their eyes.
Yeah, I think when I listened to her kind of speak about that, I did hear her say, she did get around to saying, like, yes, I can do better. And I think communication is one of those things that in any organization, we always look for better communication. When you have a comment like that coming from A'ja Wilson, you're looking at where her foundation, which came from Dawn Staley. Dawn Staley does an amazing job with bonding, not just with her players, but with their families. And she continues to stay a part of their life and their lives, the family as well, throughout their career. It wasn't like A'ja just went to South Carolina, graduated, and moved on. And she's kept in touch with Dawn. Dawn is still very much so a part of a lot of her success, and the relationship is still there. Having someone who has such a strong role as the commissioner, I think she does need to have more relationships with players of higher caliber, more effort, because it shows effort. In leadership, you have to show effort to the players that are part of the system. In her statement, she made the point that she put people in places to build what players were asking for. Putting people in places to do things is great, but you also still have to show up. That's a huge part of leadership and being an effective leader. So I like that she said that I can work on it. I can do better and find ways to communicate to them in ways that they understand or want, because you don't want to over communicate, because then it seems kind of disingenuous. But I think it was important to say that she was going to try to find a way to communicate in a way that players wanted her to and watch at the level that they want to.
Yeah, I was going to push back on that a little bit. And we have it also in the YouTube chat that her foundation, A'ja, started at home. So I just wanted to kind of push back on that as well.
That's true.
As well as say it started with that foundation with mom and dad, and even someone put it in here with grandmother. So I think what you may have been saying is that the foundation with the coach, maybe per se, started with basketball. Yeah, just because I want people to know, and I wanted to clarify that for people that like, no, it started at home as well. And it does start there as well. So I know, sorry, Anne-Marie, I just wanted to jump in and say that about A'ja's foundation. Go ahead, Anne-Marie.
No worries at all. No, but just speaking to that, the forms of communication, I thought that was interesting because Kathy had mentioned that she had, I don't know if the message was not relayed or if a lot of players did not see the statement that we were just talking about come out, but I think seems some players are coming up like, hey, are we going to, she's like, you didn't see the statement. But to me, there's a problem. If the players in the league are not seeing what the league is stating, there's a disconnect. So she had mentioned they were using email. Listen, We all have an email that has 15,000 emails, and we've had it since we were middle schoolers.
Oh my
We've been
goodness,
given it
yes.
to limited to it's junky. Okay, we need text messages. We're in the age where like text is better, phone calls is better, email is tough. I think that's a generation older than us that really likes to communicate via email. But no, I think there's got to be better communication. There continues to be proven miscommunications or lack of communications between upper management, commissioner, top players, the union. So I think hopefully we can start to see some more collaboration and more accountability from the commissioner to better these relationships and to better the environment for the games and what the players and the fans would like to see.
Yeah, it's definitely about the cohesiveness as well. And a lot of people, when you talk about leadership, when you have a great leader, I don't like to say followers or direct reports, I don't like to say that, but your team wants to make you look better. They want to work for you. They work harder for you. They are the best representation of themselves for you. And when we talk about leadership, we have Nneka, who is, of course, a leader in the organization as well in the WNBA. Of course, A'ja being the best player, being a leader in the organization. And there's a lot of other people that people look up to when it comes to that WNBA. So, of course, A'ja is the best player, but there's so many other people that have influence that we want to make sure that commissioner has a relationship as well, because maybe A'ja influences this group of people. Maybe even Caitlin Clark influences this group of players. There's so many different leaders that people can look up to say, hey, if A'ja has a relationship with her, then I want to be bought in. If Cece has a relationship with her, I want to be bought in. If Nneka has a relationship, I want to be bought in as well. So that's why it's so important to be able to have the open line of communications with a lot of different players. And I'm not saying they don't. I don't know how many player groups they have. I'm not sure what that looks like. But whatever that is, maybe there's multiple people that can be spokespersons for that. So they can also have those communications and relationships with commissioner. So it's better for not just, the players, but Kathy and the relationship with them as well as the fans, because we can see it. You can see sometimes when there's a rift in the relationship as well. So I want to just kind of shift gears and I want to talk about some basketball again. You guys ready to dive into some basketball? Now I want to highlight this young lady. And we all know this young lady right here, Olivia Miles. She had her first All-Star this weekend, and she was asked by Holly Rowe. I think Holly Rowe might have been the sideline reporter, and asked her, and she was like, it was fun. She'll do it again. I mean, she just really enjoyed her time out there. Again, being a starter as a rookie is phenomenal in itself. And I want us to give a grade for her. If you were to grade Olivia Miles' first ever WNBA All-Star game, what are we grading her on a scale from A to an F? And be ready to back up your grades. All right, Courtney, what is your grade for Miss Olivia Miles in her first ever All-Star game?
I'm giving her an A+.
Oh,
I think anytime I'm giving her an A+, because anytime you can go out on the court and you leave a game shooting 100% from the field goal for not missing a shot, you get an A+. I think throughout this whole process, Olivia Miles has understood the assignment. She has found her role, found her way to fit in and adjust to everything, and it's been great to watch. So, and she takes it with such a grain of salt, like, yeah, I know, it was cool. I'll do it again. Like, that's like she's been here before, right? You watch her play and it's almost like, wow, this is, she's not overexcited, but she's taking it all in. You can tell she's grateful for the moment. And I think just giving her an A+ for just how she's handling the moment, how she's handling her rookie year, and not missing a shot that she took in her first All-Star game. That's great.
Well, I didn't go A+, but I said A-. I mean, I think from a scoring standpoint, she made all her shots. I was maybe thinking she was going to score a little bit more, but at the end of the day, all the best players are out there. But I think, flirting with a triple-double, I mean, she had, I believe, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, 11 points. She made all her shots. So, I mean, she's definitely in the A category for me. I think she just continues to show she's so poised and seems so like calm and just so chill. I love that. I mean, there's so much pressure out there. So to see her, she looks cool and calm. I'm not sure how she feels, but that's the energy she gives off. But I mean, just so involved. 12 rebounds alone. I mean, she's a point guard. So number one, she's showing she can do the little things, and I'll go hustle to get the rebounds. So, I mean, 12 rebounds in an all-star game as a point guard is pretty phenomenal. I mean, 8 assists, 11 points. She just understands her role. I mean, it seems like no matter where she is, she gets people involved. She's going to make good decisions, and she's going to bring people along with her. And then, as we all know, as she's spoken, she's not arrogant. She doesn't have an ego. She's just confident. And people who are successful, you have to be confident. So if you're not confident in yourself, you're probably not going to be doing great. So I think it's been great that she's reiterated that she's just confident in herself, and that's how successful people are. She isn't trying to put off, being an arrogant or having arrogance. So I like that she's kind of reiterated that. She's just grinding, gritting, trying to get to it, and, probably looking at the Rookie of the Year. So.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Right now, I think that we don't know what's going to happen in the second half. Let's just say that. So right now, I think we all have her as Rookie of the Year right now. Is that right? Do we have her as Rookie of the Year in this moment and time? And so we're gonna venture a little deeper in this, and we're gonna ask, can she be MVP and Rookie of the Year? Now, we haven't seen this very often, obviously, to have somebody be Rookie of the Year, MVP in the same season. And I know that she's been in talks. Of course, we have A'ja Wilson, who is, of course, everyone's mid-season MVP. There's a couple of other people that names have been thrown out there. And I think a lot of people are saying, well, Olivia could be a close second. But I know that this conversation has been brewing and bubbling for some time. And so, can she do the almost impossible? Because it's not impossible, because we've seen it done. Can she be MVP and Rookie of the Year? Anne Marie, is it possible?
I think it's possible. I think, as we mentioned right now, I think she's Rookie of the Year for sure if it was called right now at the midway point through this season. But for me, for her to be MVP, I think it's possible. But what I think we need to see from her, we need to continue to see 20-point games, close triple doubles, 7 assists, 8 assists. And the biggest thing is really competing against those top 6 teams. They need to continue to win. So I think if Olivia Miles continues to play as she is, she now has Napheesa Collier there with her, which I think is only going to help her, having another star on her team with a high IQ, someone who's a leader, and really makes people around her better as well. So I think Olivia Miles is a contender for the MVP, but I think she's going to have to continue to step it up, and Minnesota is going to have to continue to stay at that top spot.
And this is for you, Anne Marie. The doggies are not, they're very upset that you gave her A-. You're like, who gave her
Okay, we'll revise to an A, okay?
Revise to an A, absolutely. All right, and we're going to talk about Napheesa Collier coming back. And so I want you to hold that thought there. And so, Courtney, you are just been dying to answer this question. What are your thoughts? Can she do the almost impossible?
Yeah, mine was going to be, yes, I think she can. I was going to say yes, right. But I think it's going to be dependent on what her performance looks like with Napheesa coming back. I think that for the second half of the season, I think I'm really excited to see how consistent she remains in her performance, whether it's point production, assists, and just her efficiency overall, how that changes as Napheesa comes back from injury. We saw the first game that nothing really changed about it. I mean, but I think whether or not she can be MVP will be based on Napheesa and her performance and how it affects Olivia Miles's performance and consistency with her numbers. To get to the MVP, I think she might have to score a few more points, which is almost like crazy to say that she needs to do more. But to get to that level, which again, Candace Parker being the last person to do this, there's a reason why it's been so long for someone to accomplish it. It asks a lot of a rookie to be able to accomplish that and then remove Asia from that platform. So yeah, score more points.
Remove Asia from that platform. Yeah. No Asia, then it's a lot more possible for her. And we just spoke about Napheesa Collier. She made her season debut and she finished with 24 points, 10 rebounds in only 22 minutes. And she was sidelined for quite some time with ankle injuries. And she was actually also out of Unrivaled. And she came back and seemed like didn't miss a beat at all. And we talked about Olivia Miles, and I know that Courtney kind of touched on a little bit about the impact that that could have on Olivia's campaign to be MVP. And so the question now is, how will Napheesa's return impact Olivia Miles' productivity? And Courtney, I'm going to have you talk about it because you kind of teased us a little bit about that. What are your thoughts on it?
I think the assists will go up. So I say all that to say my thought process was, I think that her assists will continue to rise. Maybe the double-double category with assists and points. I like that a lot as something that could be a norm for Olivia Miles. She will have so many weapons on that team. You've got Courtney Williams, who is continuing to just dominate the mid-range game. And I think that's what makes her so special, is that she continues to make the mid-range game her playground. You got Kayla McBride, who is just consistent with the 3-point. You have to be a great defending team to do anything with Minnesota. And then with Napheesa coming back and playing alongside Natasha Howard, that is a powerful team. I think Olivia Miles is just going to be having the time of her life and can pass the ball to anybody that she liked, as well as still get to the basket. So I think that her productivity will be the same. I think the scoring might take a little bit of a bump because the assists will go up. She'll have her pick up the litter, whoever is available at the time. And it's going to be exciting to watch.
I totally agree with you, Courtney. I think that it's only going to help Olivia Miles. First of all, you have someone who was an MVP contender last year. So now you have another player on the court that is going to naturally take the defense's attention. I mean, you have to guard Napheesa. You have to guard Kayla McBride, Courtney Williams, Nia Coffey's having her best season. So they are loaded with weapons. And for that reason, I think that Napheesa Collier's return is only going to help Olivia Miles. She's going to have more assists. She's probably going to actually get some better quality shot selection, just given how teams are going to have to put attention on Napheesa and what she can do. So I think the scoring might go down a little bit for Olivia because now you have Napheesa who can step in and bring 20 plus points per game as well. So I just think it's going to help. I think Olivia's going to be able to get more people involved. I think her assists will go up. I think we'll see better efficiency and a little bit her playing a little bit more effective with Napheesa on the court.
Yeah, we have some stuff here in the comments here, and one of the things that I want to highlight here is this is the same question that I think a lot of us have is, and this comment is, I'm curious about that too. How will Reeve balance these two superstars? That's going to be a big question because I don't think anyone knew that Olivia would be a superstar this quickly. I think we all thought, she's a great distributor of the ball, great in screens, awesome, right? We had this expectation, but who thought? Now, of course, Cheryl Reeve is a great coach, so let's just start with that. Sure. But we didn't know that she would help this young lady elevate to a level where she's a superstar in the superstar status. So I think that's something we want to keep our eyes on is how would they balance that? So just quickly, if either one of you all want to touch on the thoughts about how do you balance a former MVP candidate and now a current MVP candidate on that same team. Any thoughts, ladies?
I think there's not a whole lot that Cheryl needs to do there. I think you have two players in Olivia Miles and Napheesa Collier who they are selfless players. I think the balance and the chemistry will naturally happen because when you have so much talent on the team and the championship is the bigger goal, not necessarily egos, accolades, numbers, awards, and things like that, it's very easy to maintain that level of get the ball to the next open player. Understanding that if tonight Olivia Miles is hitting 5 3-pointers, we need to continue to get her the ball. If Nafisa has the mismatch, that's where the focus needs to be. So I think it becomes more about the game plan and what's actually happening with the players at the time. In-game adjustments, mismatches, things like that. So I think it's something that it's an easy problem to have. It's a good problem to have.
Yes.
It's a very good problem to have. So, and I think with Coach Reeves' experience, she won't have any issues balancing out.
And I was going to say, I don't even know if she's going to have to balance them out. I think as a coach, you have to be aware that sometimes sharing superstars on a team, there can be some conflict a little bit, sharing that spotlight. But in my opinion, with how we've seen this relationship grow already, I mean, you see them having conversations on the bench. Olivia Miles is talking to Nafisa while she sits down. Nafisa is giving her pointers. She's going over there. So in my opinion, I think that there's already a high mutual respect. I think they both have great self-awareness. And then at the end of the day, as you mentioned, Courtney, I think being able to put your own individual accolades and what you want aside for the bigger goal. Minnesota wants to win a championship. Nafisa knows that. She's going to contribute. She's going to be a top player, as is Olivia Miles. And I think just seeing their chemistry in that one game, but also seeing the chemistry that they've created in the preseason of leaning on each other and being there for each other, I think they're going to have continued success. And hopefully Coach Reeves won't have to worry about balancing out, two superstars and if there's any conflicts.
Yeah, I think if everybody focuses on the bigger goal, which is to win yet another championship for Minnesota, egos are put to the side for the greater good of a team. And speaking greater good of team, we are now almost to the deadline of the trade deadline for the WNBA. And so there's a lot of teams that need to make some changes. And with that, I'm going to ask my panel, what team needs to make a deal before the trade deadline that's coming up very soon? August 2nd, 3 p.m. That trade deadline is coming. Who needs to make a move? All right, Anne-Marie, who needs to make that move?
Well, as we know, there's quite a few teams that are struggling at the bottom right now. Seattle is struggling. Chicago's yet to really catch a rhythm. Skylar Diggins has been sitting on the bench. We have not seen her step back in quite a few games here. So for me, a few of the players that I feel like that are, Kelsey Plum's been in the talk. She's a great elite scorer. There's a few teams that are needing some more scoring and producing guards. I know that the Mystics, there's been some talks of the Mystics looking at getting Kelsey Plum as well as Golden State. But for me, in my opinion, if you're Chicago and you're not playing Skylar Diggins or, there's some dynamics that are occurring that Skylar is not playing at the moment, I think Chicago needs to make a move. If you have such a great player sitting there, it seems that something's off. So in my opinion, I think Skylar Diggins is someone that Chicago might look to get rid of, just given what's occurring in the locker room. There hasn't been much stated, but we know that Skylar Diggins can perform. She was scoring over 14 points per game. Now she is not playing, whether that's injury related or due to the relations with the head coach and moving her to the bench, not to be determined. But I would say Skylar Diggins, Kelsey Plum are two players, but also Connecticut Sun's got to get something going. They've been plagued with injuries. They might need someone that's a little more consistent and can contribute on the offensive end. Chicago, as we mentioned, not doing great. In Seattle, they have a decent roster, but not producing and at the bottom of the league.
To your point, I think going along the lines with Kelsey Plum and her making their potential trade to Washington, I think they should make a deal. There's obviously something going on in LA with the recent fire of their, I think it was the general manager who got fired. There's a lot of I think there was a lot of expectation for Los Angeles to be doing a lot better than what they are now, record-wise. I think they have a lot of great pieces. Injuries, of course, has been something. Cameron Brink kind of being in and out, not playing consistently, but someone who contributes a lot to that team. So, and then Kelsey Plum going down with her injury is something that's really impacted that team. You look at Washington. Washington is right, like kind of the middle of the road team right now. They've lost a lot of close games, but they've competed in all of them. And I think somebody like Kelsey Plum going to Washington could be that move that takes them over the edge, where a lot of those close games that they lost early on in the season, they would win those if they had a player like Kelsey Plum. So I'm looking and at that trade. I think that's a great move for Washington. And then I think LA just kind of has to figure out what's going there. To your point again with Skylar Diggins, I don't know what's going on there. Left knee injury has been what's stated, but I do think they need to make something happen with that for the sake of the locker room, the energy of the team, the morale of the team. I think they need to move on from Skylar.
Yeah, and I'm gonna post something that I think I'm not sure if you all have been seeing this. It's in the YouTube chat. I'm gonna put it here, and this is this is something that there's been some conversation in the chat that I've been seeing. There's some people saying they've been hearing some buzz and rumbles that this, now of course it's not going to happen per se, but that this could be a good trade possibility. I want to hear from my panel, because I think that when we posted this and I saw this in the chat, there were some people that were like, then there were some people that said, yeah, okay. So, and Courtney, your face,
because
your face is hilarious right now. All right, panel. All right, now that you've like taking a deep breath, what in the world? What are your thoughts? I mean, I'm seeing. Come on, what do we thought? What are some thoughts?
So like in my head is going, like in my head is going, like, if I wanted a fee, who would I be? Like, what could you offer Minnesota for? That's tough. That one stumped me. Of all the trades that could happen, I just kind of wonder, what would the option be? I would love to ask Curious ATL Hoops, like, who would be the option? What could be
what's better situation
easy
for them?
Yeah.
To me, she just got back, so I mean, to think about trading someone when you haven't seen the potential of the team with Naphisha and with them having the chemistry and playing multiple games, I don't know how you would trade someone who's been injured that you're looking forward to getting on the court. She's only been here one game. She had a double-double, 24 and 10. Yeah. Why would you trade her? I mean, it looks like there's chemistry. She's not on the court. I think you've got to let a few more games occur for sure. I wouldn't trade her, but if people are thinking that's a trade option, I think something would have to be drastically wrong to trade her right now, in my opinion. I don't see that occurring just based off of. But I think she brings a lot to the table, and I love these games. So for me, I don't know if they should trade her. I don't think we've seen enough to assess or say they should. So that's my
especially by the trade deadline. So you're talking about the trade deadline coming up in like less than a week. I can't see them making such a drastic decision with one of their best players in such a short amount of time. That would just kind of be completely out of nowhere, and it would have to be a deal that was so amazing that it would set their franchise up to almost guarantee a championship, and she would be the player to almost guarantee, if there were anybody to guarantee them a championship. She would be very close to being that piece.
Yeah. To see what happens. Okay. All right. So we're now going to talk about, who do we expect to have the best second half of the season? Which player or team, either one, will have the best second half of the season? Courtney, who do you think is going to be? It could be team or player.
I think team-wise, I'm looking at Dallas.
Okay. It's a
I'm
good
looking at
pick.
Dallas. I think they found something within their core group of players that is really starting to take form. It was very rocky for them in the beginning of the season. You had the coach kind of calling them out a little bit about the selfishness in the locker room. Players are still trying to find their role. When I say players, I specifically talk about Enrique. And then the next game, I think after our show, Enrique had what I would call a standout performance for her in the clutch. And I posted about it and I said that Enrique, because I was looking for her to take that role with such a young locker room and be the person to kind of finish out games and finish out strong the way that she did that last game. I really like what they have. They can grow and build on what they already have. And I think the second half of the season is going to show that. Azzi's going to have that confidence coming out of All-Star weekend with her shot. She already knows that she's a great shooter, but this is something that kind of gives that confidence boost. And I think her production will increase. So Dallas is the team that I'm looking forward to having a great second half. Player wise, I really think Alicia Gray is going to have an even better second half of the season than what she had. Coming off the bench from the All-Star game, she's got 19 points. That's huge to have 19 points off of the bench. I mean, the defense wasn't the best defense, as we spoke about earlier for All-Star, but I still think that's a lot to have 19 points coming off of the bench. She's been doing great things with Atlanta, and her point production and consistency is increasing. I think she's going to have a great second half.
So we definitely have some people that are agreeing with you when it comes to your picks. All right, Anne-Marie, who you got?
I think the New York Liberty are going to get it together here in the second half. I mean, we all know they have the pieces. I don't think they've performed the way that they would like to in the first half of the season. They already have 12 losses, but Sabrina's back. She didn't start at the beginning of the season. Jonquel Jones coming off MVP of All-Star. Brianna Stewart, as we know, makes it happen on the offensive defensive end, can score her length. And then, I mean, you have a lot of other players on the team. Leonie Fibic, who is a long guard, 6'3", who's a European player. Rebecca Gardner, who's a vet, been in the league, played overseas many years, smart, high IQ. So I just think we're going to see more consistency from Liberty in the second half of the season here. And I think we'll see them move up a little bit. They have the talent, obviously new coach, but I think New York Liberty will be able to jump up a few spots here in the second half, getting their rhythm and having everyone back.
Okay, that's an interesting one. I see some stuff here in the chat that talks about the dream. And of course, they now have Bree Jones coming back, so that's very exciting. And we saw a lot different dream team once Bree was back, and they ended the first half of the season on a winning streak. So that's a team to look out for as well. All righty. Now, this is going to be my favorite part of the show. And for those watching and listening, we call this our Block D. This is where, this is the fun part of the show. So I'm going to show you a photo. Right? And I know that we have some people that are fans of all of these people here. And with that, we're going to play a little game with my panelists. And let me give you the instructions for everyone so they know what we're doing. We have 4 players. And I am going to ask these 4 players if they are going to start a franchise. Which one, Doug? Yep, that was one that Doug's on here. Excuse me, that was Dominique. I asked my panelists to decide if they were starting a WNBA franchise. And over the next 5 years, they had to pick one of these 4 players to start the franchise with, to build around. I asked them which of these 4 players they would select, and they had to build a case as to why they would pick this particular player. All right. And so I'm going to start with Anne-Marie. So she is playing GM right now. This is Team Anne Marie Bulldogs because she's a bulldog. And who is she going to start her franchise with? All right, Anne Marie, who you got? She's a GM, by the way. Someone's asking, are you coach a GM? And I'm telling them, Anne Marie, you are the GM.
I'm the GM today. Thank you, everyone. I mean, first of all these players up here, great reasons for all of them to be the main person in the franchise player that you build around. I mean, they all have great, great strengths. For me personally, I am going to go with Paige Bueckers. Paige Bueckers is one of the most elite all-around floor generals, I would say, in the WNBA. She controls the pace. Midi game is pretty killer. She can finish. She hits big shots. She does not scare away from big moments. She steps up for her team when they need buckets. We've seen her, in the third and fourth quarter when Dallas needs buckets. Paige has shown that she can do just that for them. I think she's just built for sustained success. I think she does a great job of getting other players involved. She's a leader on and off the court. She's someone who does a lot in the community. I think people look up to her. I think she does a great job advocating in the league for equality and inclusion. And I really just think she's someone that people want to be around. What do you not like about Paige Bueckers? I mean, she's a baller. She's a great person. She's a leader, and she's someone that makes people around her better.
Yeah, I that's awesome. You stole my pick a little bit. I'm going to go with somebody else.
Yeah, you can still have your pick. You may have a different reason or a different case. Maybe.
No, I think everything that she said was true about Paige, but I'm going to go with someone different. And I'm going to go with Olivia. And I'm going to go with Olivia Miles. One, because she's a rookie. So when you look at growth, she hasn't hit her ceiling yet. I don't think she's begun to hit her ceiling. I think she's still learning the WNBA game, the speed of the game, the physicality, players. And I think she just landed in the perfect system for her, how her game is. It allowed Courtney Williams to move to the shooting guard position, her natural position, and just having the players and the professionals around her. She's likable. She has that confidence. She's very professional. So I don't see her as like a high maintenance player. People are going to want to play with her because she's not selfish. She's going to distribute the ball and seems like she's always prepared for whatever the moment is. And to have a player who at such a young age that has such a maturity, who's prepared and willing to do the things that she needs to do for a team, you have to build around that. And you have to continue to pour into her. I think A'ja Wilson gave her flowers in that interview because everyone can see it. Everyone can see how great she's going to be. I hope she stays healthy. But as a GM, I would absolutely say, let's build a team around Olivia Miles, and it's probably going to look a lot like Minnesota. If I'm being honest, I think that was just, I would want to build another team like Minnesota.
And so now you have to tell me why you didn't pick the other three. Of course, Dominique Malonga, and I talked about this in a production meeting. I mean, to me, she's a generational talent. Yeah. A big person. She's learning that outside shot as well. She has great feet. You don't see a lot of big people in the league that are just, we have a lot of great guards, but how many post players can we say are going to dominate or on their way to doing that? And so I'm just curious of why we didn't choose the big person. And of course, I don't think anyone chose Caitlin Clark either. So I'm just going to talk to my two GMs and ask you why you didn't choose either one of them, because I'm not going to ask you about the other one you didn't pick, but the two that were not selected, why didn't you choose them? Courtney, I want to hear from you as a GM. Why didn't you pick the other two?
So Caitlin Clark is solely based on the injuries. It has nothing to do with her performance. I think that she puts together the performance piece. She brings the fans. She brings the talent. She brings a lot of things. I think the injury that she has is one that it's like a day to day almost. Like she can be doing great one week and then the wrong turn, wrong tweak, she falls the wrong way, and now she's back in an evaluation stage. So as a GM, someone who is looking to build my franchise around someone, I would not pick someone who's kind of recovering from an injury. With Dominique Malonga, kind of the same thing. I see 2 of those 5 years being an adaptation to the WNBA, getting her strength up, the speed of the game, the IQ of the game, still in a very developmental phase of her career. Not that she's a great player, and I think in the next 5 years, she would be the person that I would say, yes, let me pick Dominique, because she'll have more strength. She'll have more knowledge of the game. She'll get more pace. She'll work more on her shot and be more consistent in her play and her confidence. What I've seen a lot with her has been confidence. Even in the All-Star game, you watch her and you kind of see those moments where she just kind of like dropping her head in the All-Star game, right? I'm building a franchise. I need the confidence. I need that.
Okay, it's important. I actually saw that somewhere talking about confidence and leadership from Dom, wanting to see a little bit more of that from her before they move her into a possible person to build a franchise around. Anne Marie.
Well, I can say about Dominique Malonga, first of all, her length, her athletic ability. She is someone who is already obviously an all-star, but is going to continue to grow and get better. She is 20 years old, so I think that's something to note, which is one of the main reasons. I think from a leadership and a maturity standpoint, I think she has a little bit more growth. I think she's shown her offensive ability, but also just looking for a little bit more consistency. I think that in the next few years, she would be someone who is great to build around. But I think right now you need someone that really has stronger leadership qualities, which is why I went with Paige Bueckers. And then Caitlin Clark, as Courtney mentioned, she has kind of been day to day, sometimes day before the game or day of the game. It's not playing this game. So I think, and we all know back injuries, no joke. You can be completely immobile, and especially if some discs or anything are going on, just injury prone. So I think just seeing reoccurrence and not knowing, can she be what we need her to be every game, and can she be on the court? And then a little bit more of a controversial topic, but I would say for me as a GM, I think there has been a lot of instances that have stemmed in the league. Unfortunately, from what it appears to be for some of her fan base. So I think when you're looking at making sure that all your players feel safe, included these things, and you're sometimes, and it is not Caitlin Clark, it is not her fault that some of these fans that are wearing the jerseys are the ones sometimes that are behind the keyboard, who are saying things that are not okay, that are not condoned in the WNBA. So I think sometimes when it comes to speaking on race and diversity, I think it's hard when you're seeing some of her fans, referring to African Americans and Blacks and people that in terminology that is not okay. And so I think, unfortunately, that has impacted a little bit of the way some people see Caitlin Clark. It is not her. She has not personally done or said anything, but I think what comes with some of her fans, for me, being a GM, is that I want to have a safe locker room. I want to have a place where everyone feels included, advocated for, and safe. And sometimes what we're seeing right now is we have a lot of people sitting behind the keyboard who are not helping grow or sharing positive thoughts on the league.
Courtney, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's tough. It's a tough task to take on Caitlin as a whole, right? When you are involved with a player or a team, you take on all things that come with that player. It's not just whether they play basketball. And this goes to that idea or that mentality that people have sometimes, is that they're just basketball players. We just need to play basketball. These are public figures, right? They have influence. They influence to our young population, political influence. And taking on such a big task with Caitlin Clark, you have to have a lot of things in place, a lot of additional things, because with that big name comes a big check. right? It becomes something that impacts the entire locker room, and it follows people home. So I think it's important to understand, as a GM, if I'm a GM, I don't know that I would want to take that on. It's a lot, because you have to have the support and the backing of the W. You also have to have buy-in from everybody around. And then that's difficult to control, because it's not her fault. She didn't ask for that. But that's kind of what comes with the territory when you're a generational talent. And taking the responsibility or knowing what to do with that at 24 is crazy, right? Like, she can't know what to do. She can't know what's right, what's wrong. Well, she can know what's right or wrong there, but the next move in that, what she should be doing, what she should not be doing, is very difficult to navigate. I'll say that. It's difficult to navigate, because someone's always going to be upset about something. You can't please everybody. So I think her being young plays a huge factor in a lot of the things that people may feel like, hey, she should say something, she should address this. And really, she's focused on playing basketball, because she does feel she is a competitor, and she feels like she can be playing better. And that is I'm sure what she wants to focus on, but it's bigger.
It's bigger.
It's much bigger.
Absolutely bigger than that. And the good thing about the fact that the league is growing is that we're seeing a lot more of the players be superstars, both on and off of the court. There were a lot of great superstars on the court in years past, in the past 30 years, but now we're starting to see an influx where they're now becoming celebrities. They're becoming influencers in ways that we've never seen before. And with that is a responsibility. I remember as a child, I think it was Charles Barkley that says, "I'm not a role model." Right? He was infamously, I don't know, you all remember that? He said, "I'm not a role model." But it's like, unfortunately, that comes with the territory of that. And I think that Caitlin Clark takes on that responsibility of being a role model to young girls and even some young boys that are watching her play. But at the same time, you have that sense of responsibility, because now people expect you to be responsible for all the things that are said by your fans that support you in that. And even if you watch Caitlin Clark at All-Star Weekend, she just really wanted to play basketball. She didn't, a lot of times, like, she didn't seem like she even wanted to address the media. She really just wants to do what she do, which is play basketball and do it well. So I have a question here in the chat that I want to just pose to my panel. We have a few minutes, about 4 minutes or so. So I want to take just about 2 minutes of that time and just kind of address what was said here, because I think it's a really good point that was brought up. And it says the big check could be the poison, because I know that was mentioned here. How do you turn down the economic advantage if you're on the business side? It's a hell of a tough decision. And so I want to just either both of you all or one of you all, I want you to kind of talk about that. When you think about the economic side of bringing in a Caitlin Clark, for example, but then you also have the other side that comes to it, how do you turn that down? So I just want to hear from one of you all in regards to this.
I think it's really just, what are your goals? I mean, especially if you're a GM, it's what is more important to you? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to look on the business side, grow viewers? You know that a lot of viewers come with Caitlin Clark, which is a big positive. I mean, the basketball has grown so much from Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese when they graduated, and they're both now not just two major professional athletes, they are public figures, and we see that with both of them. They've both taken on a lot of responsibility with that. But I mean, it's tough. It's just, what are your values, and what are you wanting your program and your organization to stand on? Do you want to have that following, or do you want to, look at other things that you might find are more valuable, like, locker room, what's going on in the locker room? Do all players feel that inclusivity and that everyone's together on the same page and people that you can relate with within your organization? So for me, it's really hard, because most people look at the business aspect and think that's the most important thing, that you want to generate viewers, you want to generate a fan base, you want to generate revenue. And those are all super important. But at the same time, you have to look at, how is this affecting the team? And how is that inevitably affect the success, which is then the business side as well. So I think it's a hard decision, but as a GM, I think you have to decide what is your goals for the team.
Absolutely. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. This was a very engaging conversation, great talk. Thank you to all of our fans. Thank you to all of our viewers, everyone for listening and being engaged with us. That's the kind of conversation that we're going to continue to have here at Hoops and Hers. So we're going to go say thank you to everyone. And thank you to Courtney. Thank you to Anne Marie for being here as well. I am your host. Oh, I got Courtney up there. She's like, what am I doing there by myself? So I am your host and moderator, Lakeisha KB Brooks. Make sure to check us out every Tuesday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Hoops and Hers. We talk about everything from the game. We talk about things, as you heard today, that are dealing with the politics behind the game as well. And if you have not already, make sure to download our app so that you can have around-the-clock updates and notifications from KB Sports Network. Again, I'm Lakeisha KB Brooks from Hoops and Hers, and we will see you next Tuesday, 12 p.m., 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.